Virpil was kind enough to send me out their VPC Ace rudder pedals. So today, we're gonna unbox them, put them together, take a look at them, set up a foot cam, and see how they are. When you initially get them out of the box, you get this entire assembly right here already put together, which is very nice. There's not a ton of assembly to this. But as you can see, it's missing the pedals, so you have the pedals as well, which are included. And then they also sent me this dampening kit, which will be the hardest part of this install, but even that isn't really too difficult. So I went ahead and assembled the whole thing, and I made it a little bit more difficult on myself because I didn't read any directions. I just looked at pictures. You should not do that. Then I set them up on the ground. I put them straight onto my carpet. I also tested this on hardwood floor, so what I'm about to say won't make a difference either way. It does have these nice rubber feet, but even with those on hardwood or carpet, it does move a little bit, which you can see in this clip right here. So I took it upon myself to get some Velcro. I pulled my carpet back just a little bit so I could put the Velcro directly on the hardwood floor and then on the two back pads as well. And then finally, they didn't move at all whatsoever. But another note is that any other rudder pedals I've used, I also had to secure them somehow. So unless you have an actual stand, like the Next Level Racing cockpit to my left here, you're probably gonna need to secure them in some way, shape, or form. And that's just kind of a theme that I see with all rudder pedals. So I can't really hold that against them. But now it's time to get in the sim and actually try these things out. Okay, so here we are loaded into the simulator in a Cessna 172. Now, before I actually fly, I did want to mention, as you know, we have the dampening kit, which I think is right there. I apologize for pointing with my toe in the first place. It's on this left side, so you can't see it very much. The dampening kit is going to get rid of the springiness that you get in rudder pedals, just like my old ones, and probably a lot of the pedals that you guys have used, the cheaper ones at least. So I'll show you what the dampening kit does. When I have the damper, I'll let go in 3, 2, 1. You see how it's not as fast as it would be with just the spring. It's got that dampening, and it makes it feel much nicer even pushing, besides just the back to center feel. With my old pedals, I used essentially just my toes, and those pedals were also much closer together. So those are two things to note. Now, Virpil makes a few different pedal styles. They have one where they don't even have toe brakes. They're for like, it's called like the Warper pedals or something. No toe brakes at all. It's just these little things, which are pretty cool. Then they have these ones, which I believe are the Interceptor. I think that's the differentiation. I don't remember what the other ones are called. The other ones essentially have a little heel thing that comes down with my toes, guys. I've been using these pedals for about a couple days now. I used them over the weekend recording videos and stuff. This is my preferred spot. So ball of my foot right on top of the little milled things right here, these bottom ones, right there, and that feels fantastic. Okay, so here we are in the Cessna 172. As you can see in the Cessna, these pedals are much closer, more like my TFRP pedals, although these have a full foot thing, but they are much closer. Let's take the parking brake off here and move forward just a little bit so we can get some feel in this. There we go. So they're decently sensitive close to center, and that's just because it's a linear curve at the moment. Now, what I did with my old pedals and what I'm about to do with these is I changed the curve in them. Now, let's just put the parking brake back on. We'll go in our settings, go to controls options, find a rudder pedal. So this works, if you're watching this and you don't own these, this works with your rudder pedals as well. So I would go in here. This is what I did with my last ones. This is what I do with all my pedals, and make it so the center of your pedals, right? So right in here is less sensitive, so you can have really precise movements, say on landing or on takeoff or whatever, without going crazy. So it doesn't just fly off to the right really fast or fly off to the left really fast. So what you're gonna do to do that is you go to sensitivity and you're gonna drag this slider. I'll try -50 on both of them, just like that. So now you can see the center movements are having less of an impact right here, right? You see that? But then as I get further, now, for less movement, I'm getting more impact, if that makes sense to you guys. I will show you what that looks like in the plane as well. Let's apply this. Okay, so look at that. So I can move like this and see how there's almost no movement, in the actual rudder pedals. Now, as I get further, for less input on my feet, I get more input in the plane. See that? See how that tiny movement right there gets me a pretty big input, but then if I do the same tiny movement here, it's much less input. We're just gonna try taxing. Obviously, rudder pedals are mainly for when you're on the ground. So that's when the feel is gonna matter the most. We are going to get in the F-22, and I will try a Kavosher Bell, however you wanna say it, in the air, which does require a lot of rudder input. What do the toe brakes feel like? What do the actual rudders themselves feel like? Which, with the dampening kit, feel great. There's a little more right brake there. Very nice. Look at that. Very smooth and easy to use there. There are other pedals in this price range that I have not tried, mainly Wind Wing. I believe the Wind Wing ones are called the Orions, and they, for a little bit cheaper, I wanna say like 60 bucks cheaper, these are $400 with the damper. So these are not cheap, do not get me wrong. But even at $400, which is crazy, these are kind of mid-level rudders. There are much more expensive rudder pedals out there, but at 400 bucks, these are somewhere in the middle of the range. Look at that, adding that right brake in to get a little more rotation. Very nice. Another thing I forgot to mention, or didn't forget, I'm just kind of re-noticing here. Let me stop real quick. If I try to make super tiny movements, obviously you're not usually gonna, this isn't gonna matter that much. It's just something to note. Make super tiny movements, you can feel a little bit of notchiness. You can feel it kind of wants to go, go, go. Just a little bit of, has to overcome that resistance, so it wants to go. So I'll try to move the pedals as smoothly as I can, but very slow, just in little notches, and you'll see what I mean. I don't know how well you can tell that. They're still about 100 times smoother than my TFRP pedals. So here we are in the Cessna 172, first takeoff, and I am glad, a lot of right rudder, we got some wind here. I am glad I changed that sensitivity curve. Try to rotate 65 knots, there we go. And we are off the ground, look at that. So easy, very easy to maintain center line, much easier than my TFRPs. Like I said, the TFRPs are very notchy, not smooth, springy, all that stuff. Also the toe brakes on those, they are not fun to use. But that takeoff actually felt great. So what we'll do is we'll turn around here, we'll do a landing. There's some rudder and air, just so you can see, not that it's gonna tell you much of anything. We're gonna turn around here, we'll do a landing, and then I will try one airliner, and then I'll get in the F-22. Let's get on the ground, let's see how keeping the plane on center line feels. By the way, this is KD&L, which is the private airport in the city that I grew up in. Not the city I live in anymore, but I used to always come and watch small private jets take off here, because the runways are pretty small. Seen Vision jets here, Honda jets, PC-12s, things like that. Let's see how this landing is. Then we'll do some crosswind stuff in an airliner, get a feel for that. And then we will try, finally try the F-22. Let's see. Very nice touchdown. Idle throttle. And not much wind, so not much of an issue at all. Let's get an airliner. Let's do a crosswind landing, and let's see how I handle that. Okay, so we are in a 737 now. I have 10 knots of crosswind set up. Now, one other thing I did want to mention is there are other adjustments for these pedals. There are different, I don't want to say cam, but I think that's the right word. Different like cam, so you can get kind of a different force curve or like resistance curve maybe. You can also adjust certain springs and stuff, but what they were set up as right out of the box didn't bother me. But here we are, 737, 700. Let's get rid of that parking brake. 10 knots of crosswind. We'll do takeoff, of course, first, which shouldn't really pose much of an issue at all. I had a little more flaps in here. But like I said, that, what's it called? Adjusting it to where the center of your rudder pedals are less sensitive than the outside is actually so nice. Ooh, I can feel the wind a lot more once we're actually up. Here we go. And again, we're in the air. Obviously, in the air is not gonna, we're not gonna feel too much of anything. Maybe we'll go 15 knots of crosswind and see what that feels like. Let's do it. Let's do 15 knots to make it a little more difficult. So here we are coming into KDAL, I believe, which is Dallas Love Field. Like I said, 15 knots of crosswind. We're gonna see how I can handle it, especially after touchdown. Here we go. Come back left slightly. Here we go. Come on, baby.
100, 50, 30, 20, 10.
Ooh. Definitely not as good as it could have been, but also not as bad as it could have been. Let's check it out from the outside, and then we'll get in the F-22, and we'll see what this Kavosher belt looks like, and we'll give some final thoughts. 737, Coming in 15 knots of crosswind. It actually, the crabbing doesn't look too bad. Straightened out a little bit and not terrible. And then I kind of screwed it up there. I had too much rudder input. Here we are in the F-22. For reference, before we do this, I just wanted to say I actually reached out to OVERKILL because I saw that they had some yokes coming out, which is a Kickstarter program they have. And they look very cool. They have an Embraer yoke, which you essentially never see. I'm very excited for that. That's why I reached out to them. I was like, I saw you got some yokes. Can I do a video on one? And they're like, well, the yokes aren't out yet, but you want some rudder pedals? And I was like, heck yeah, I'll take some rudder pedals. So thank you, OVERKILL, for sending me those. Also, they have no input on this. They don't get to see the video before I post it. They didn't tell me to say anything. I don't even have to do this video if I wanted to. I could just do a stream or something. But yeah, so here we are in the F-22. Just wanted to mention that. I'm actually really excited for those yokes. So hopefully when they come out, OVERKILL will send me one. So here we are, F-22. We are above Texas at the moment. We're gonna try a Kavasher Bell. If you know what that is, you can look at the scene from Top Gun. If I remember correctly, I usually did this around 250 knots. I think we're a little high too. I think maybe works better down here, maybe not, but we're gonna find out. Okay, so there's 240 knots. I gotta remember, so split throttles. If I'm gonna go left, I need left rudder. I need to do a cobra, pull back, left rudder, right. Are we ready? Here we go, get ready, Aaron. Getting nervous. We got to figure this out. I think I have replay on as well. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. I think I kind of screwed that up. That was kind of it, but ultra slow. And definitely not the rudder pedal's fault. There was 29 knots at the end of it. Yeah, we lost all of our airspeed there. Okay, we're trying it again. There we are. We ready? 3, 2, 1. Goes down a little bit. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That was pretty nifty. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so impressions of the pedals. I love them. Like I was saying, there are other pedals in the price point, maybe better. I don't know. I haven't tested them. Really, the only pedals I have enough time with to make any conclusions, I would say, are the TFRP pedals, which I think are fine for their price point, but they're definitely lackluster. But like I said, I would change your curve in your settings, your sensitivity curve. If you do get these, or if you get whatever rudder pedals you have, it makes things, that is actually pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. It makes things a lot easier. I love them. Also, check out the Kickstarter. Let me know what you guys think. If I should buy them and do a video on those, on the yokes, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.